Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to America. Thank you, everyone. At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and this is the place for you to learn more about the United States. And hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Elizabeth. I'm one of the e-guide here, and it is such an honor for me to be MC for this event. First of all, allow me to extend our warmest greetings to our distinguished guests, honorable speakers, and moderator. Welcome to At America. We are very honored to welcome all of you. Can we give a big round of applause to our distinguished guests, speakers, and moderator for today? And also our audience from ISEC Trisakti and from Universitas Bina Nusantara. Today's event titled Trafficked into Crime, a Global Blind Spot. From this event, you can explore cyber scam trafficking and the exploitation of Indonesians abroad. Before we commence today's program and begin our discussion, it is my honor to first invite our distinguished guest to deliver his opening remarks. Please join me in welcoming Peter Heyman, Charge d'Affaires at Interim, U.S. Mission to Indonesia. Can we give a big round of applause?
Selamat sore, everyone. Selamat sore. Okay. Great to see everyone here today. Distinguished panelists, honored guests, students, friends, welcome to At America for this special event today. It's an honor to join you for a very important discussion about a problem that's affecting people in Indonesia, people in America, and people around this great region. I want to thank our Indonesian partners from civil society, from government, from international organizations, also for joining us here today to talk about this problem. And I particularly am happy to see large groups of students here with us today, because this is the issue you will need to deal with as you begin your careers and see your friends begin careers as well. Across Southeast Asia, traffickers are using digital platforms more and more to lure people into servitude, call it modern slavery, into employment they think is going to be a good job with good wages, and instead they turn out to be essentially imprisoned and forced to work in criminal activity. Okay. You might read about a cyber scam or trafficked persons and think that's something that happens to other people. But there are young people in particular from all around Java and other islands in Indonesia who have had to be rescued from the scam centers in other countries in Southeast Asia. Okay. And unfortunately, the numbers are not going down. They're going up from Indonesia and from other countries. And this is Southeast Asia, now South Asia, now Africa. And that's just the people who are trafficked. There's also the online scams, stealing the money from people who read something and believe it. They want to invest, they meet a friend, and they're fooled, they're cheated into losing their money. It's affecting people all around the world. Indonesia, the Indonesian government and society are trying to push back, fight back, and help the people of Indonesia. But it's very difficult because this is not an issue in one country. It's not an issue in 5 countries. It's an issue around the world, though one of the centers is in other parts of Southeast Asia. And because it's a problem in many countries, the only way to solve it is through many countries working together. And that's what today's discussion is about. I want to welcome our organizations represented here. We have the Directorate for the Protection of Citizens at Indonesia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ibu Rina. Okay. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs assists Indonesians who are affected by trafficking when they're taken to another country and helps to rescue them, to bring them back home. Want to welcome the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, Bang Abi here. In collaboration with the United States and with Indonesia, UNODC, the United Nations, is helping Indonesian office strengthen their capabilities and learn about the new tools being used by criminals so they can help, so the Indonesian government can help the Indonesian people avoid this problem. Also want to welcome the International Justice Mission and Baktri here, International Justice Mission Indonesia, which partners with local officials and local offices to build awareness, to help people understand the dangers they may face if they answer an ad for a job and they find out at the other end it's something completely different. And then also a special welcome to the National Network for Anti-Human Trafficking, led by Chairwoman Sarah. The National Network plays an essential role, a key role, in raising awareness among the Indonesian people about this problem and in connecting organizations to those who are at risk, those who are looking for a much better job than they've had before, so they answer an ad online and get into trouble. All of these organizations together, along with the United States, are working to build action, bring more action to helping people at risk, but it's not yet enough. And that's why we're having discussions like this, is to help you to learn about the challenges. For the students here today in particular, you are more connected by digital platforms than any generation in history. You are the most connected. That means you will have the skills to recognize fake news or fake ads or fake offers, but you will also be most exposed. And so many people in your generation will be most at risk. So for the discussion today, this is going to be about how to notice the triggers, how to notice things online that let you know that this is a dangerous offer and how to avoid that. And as you continue in your career, you will have an opportunity to help others avoid being trafficked in this way. My last comments, just to say that the United States, our government, our people recognize this problem because we have it too, and are working with our partners across the world, and particularly here in Indonesia, to fight back, to protect people, protect those who've already been trafficked to come back, and protecting those who haven't gone yet so it never happens to them. And we look forward to continuing to work with all our partners to find and to help create better and more successful lives available in future for our Indonesian friends. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much for the opening remarks, Peter Heyman, Chargé d'Affaires at Interim U.S. Mission to Indonesia. And now I will introduce our moderator for today. He is a political officer, U.S. Embassy Jakarta. Everyone, please give a big round of applause to Frederick Hawkins.
Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Okay. We are ready to go. Selamat sore. Selamat sore and selamat datang. My name is Frederick Hawkins, as was mentioned earlier, and let me tell you guys, I am so excited to be here. You don't even understand. And the reason I'm so excited to be here is because to see all of these faces out here, to thank you to CDA Heyman for being here, for opening and demonstrating the importance of this issue for the Indonesian people, for the American government. And so, because today's discussion is incredibly important, and we're going to talk about trafficked into crime, a global blind spot. And this, as CDA Heyman mentioned, is so important because it affects almost everyone, young people, old people, Indonesians, Americans. And so it's very exciting to see so many people interested to learn about this issue and to discuss this issue. And over the number of years, we've seen human trafficking evolve. Right? Now it's not as out in the open, but it's hidden. It's moved online. And so that's part of the problem. And so we've seen many young Indonesians trafficked into scam centers across Southeast Asia, and then they unwittingly become accomplices in digital crimes. And that is really the problem. And so as we see, it's not just it's affecting friends and neighbors and the whole community. And so this problem then requires real and definitive solutions, which we are all here to learn about today and to contribute to part of that. And so we're incredibly fortunate to have our panelists today who are going to share their experience and expertise, both from the Indonesian government, from NGOs, and also from the advocacy side, from the United Nations. And so we'll learn exactly how the traffickers target the victims. We'll learn more about what civil society, what government, and what you, me, what we all can do to stay safe and to protect our neighbors, protect our friends. And so finally, I want to encourage everyone here, both in person and online, to listen carefully to the discussion today. Not only listen, but to think carefully about what you've heard and what your role could be, what your neighbor's role can be, what your friend's role can be in helping to combat trafficking in persons, focused on the digital cyber scams. And so, because we know that awareness is the final step before action, and so because we're here to learn about what's happening, what's really happening, and what we can do, and how we can help, we are then poised to move forward in decisive action and be the change you want to see in the world. So with that, thank you again for coming here, and we look forward to having a very fruitful and engaging discussion. Terima kasih. So now we're going to invite the panelists to come up on stage. I'm going to call them individually. And first we have Ibu Rina Komaria, who is the Deputy Director for Southeast Asia Region at the Directorate of Protection for Indonesian Citizens at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Please, Ibu Rina, thank you and welcome. Yes, please, right there. And next we have Abi Sancaya from the National Program Officer for Human Trafficking and Migrant Smuggling at the UNODC. Thank you, Abi. Please have a seat. Next, we have Ibu Sara from the General Chairman of the National Anti-Trafficking in Persons Network. Thank you. And we have Pak Tri from International Justice Mission Indonesia. Please, Pak Tri, join us. Thank you. So how it's going to work is I'm going to ask questions to all of the panelists and allow them the opportunity to respond. And then after that, we'll open it up for questions, both for the audience here and also online. And so, again, thank you all for being here. It is a tremendous pleasure, and I'm so excited just because of the importance of this issue and something that I feel deeply about. And so I'm very fortunate to be here, and thank you all again. And so we're going to start with Ibu Rina. And so Kimlu, I think, represents the Indonesia's leadership in protecting citizens abroad. As CDA Heyman mentioned, Kimlu is very instrumental in returning and trafficked Indonesians back to Indonesia, particularly those caught abroad in scam centers. And so I'm hopeful you can get into some of the numbers, but as I understand it, it's in the thousands since this issue has begun. And so my question is, what is the ministry doing to strengthen its diplomatic and interagency efforts to help repatriate the victims from the scam centers? And one thing in particular is that oftentimes when citizens are in the scam centers, the other countries consider them to be offenders because they're engaged in what arguably digital crimes. And so can you speak more to the efforts of Kimlu and the kind of the challenges in that particular dynamic? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frederick. I'm very excited to be here as well, and I'm so grateful that this events organized, meeting with all young generations, so I can share with you my experience as a protection diplomat, if we may call it. So basically, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, my work is to ensure that the Indonesian citizens abroad is well protected, is assisted whenever they're having any trouble, and of course, their needs is being fulfilled when there's, emergency happens to them. So maybe before we discuss about strengthening diplomatic and interagency efforts, I would like to show you the number that basically up until now in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we've been handling 7,800 cases related to Indonesians in online scams industries. And 1,478 of which we've facilitated as a victim. So they're categorized as a victims. So we facilitate them to repatriate back to Indonesia. We also provide protection. We also provide shelters when they need it, also assessment, and also rehabilitations when they get back to Indonesia. So those efforts will not going to happen without strong collaboration between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and related Indonesian missions abroad. So for example, recently we've successfully repatriated around 699, even I think more than 700 now. It's 710 Indonesians who was trapped in Miyawadi area. Miyawadi area is the conflict area in the border of Thailand and Myanmar, which has no authority, formal authority controlled whatsoever. So the access is difficult, the negotiation is difficult. Geography-wise, it's really hard to access the area from Myanmar, which is actually the where the place is, located. So we need to negotiate not only with Myanmar, but also with Thailand. We also need to come to the border and speak directly with our local network, including some of them are those who has connection to the armed groups. And that is something that we do in a, it's a lengthy process. It's not happening in one day. We've been trying to release our citizens from Miyawadi, Myanmar since 2022. So beginning of this year, we are very grateful that all those long process of negotiations with Myanmar, with Thailand, and also with the local authorities there come to the very good result where we can repatriate around 699. And 589 of them we repatriate in a very big batch using chartered flight. So I think if we talk about the problem which you raised before, that some of these Indonesians also portrayed as a perpetrator abroad. Yes, that things happen. Those Indonesians sometimes need to face immigration's law because they treat it as an immigration offender, because sometimes in the compound, when they work, their passport is being held by the company, which means that when they manage to run away from the company, they have to leave their passport behind, and sometimes they overstay, and they need to deal with the local immigration law. That is where our embassy or our consulate come to the rescue. When we have assessed those Indonesian citizens and we identify them as victims, they're applied what so-called non-punishable principle. And we try to negotiate or find a settlement between the Indonesian citizens with the immigration authority. And that happens so many times when we try to ask the local immigration authority to waive their immigration fine. That is one of the simple simple example of what we're doing in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to assist Indonesian citizens abroad who is, trapped in this online scam compound. I think that's from me as an introduction, Frederick. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ibarina. That was incredibly insightful to hear all of the efforts that the ministry is doing to repatriate Indonesians trapped abroad. And so now let's move on to discuss the UNODC. And so we know that it's, of course, here, but also it operates in the region, strengthening border security and law enforcement, along with the U.S. Embassy as well. And be interested to hear your perspective on what the UNODC is doing to support the Indonesian government and also other governments in the region to address this cyber scam and the criminality associated with it. Particularly, any views on what legal or policy reforms might be needed to help better protect citizens. So,
okay.
The floor is yours.
That's okay. Thank you, Frederick, for the question. When we're talking about trafficking in person for forced criminality, it is, as we all probably are aware, it is a very highly complex issue, correct? Like it involves overlapping crimes. It's not necessarily only TIP, but also the scam itself, and then the money laundering probably is in there too. And it involves different nationalities as victims, as perpetrator. And then when it comes to the location, for example, the compounds itself are located not only in like one country, but multiple countries, which means when we're talking about this crime, it also involves multiple or different jurisdictions. So to respond this very complex situation, I think UNODC is working in sort of 5 main areas. The first one is capacity building. And then we also focus on international cooperation, of course, and then legal assistance. We do research as well as law and policy reform. So allow me to share some examples. For trainings or capacity building, so UNODC has conducted several trainings that are focusing on law enforcement, such as police investigators, judges, and then prosecutors, and other relevant officials as well. And in this training, Frederick, we are focusing on the importance of correctly identifying victims, especially when we're talking about TIP for forced criminality, right? Because oftentimes victims may initially appear as offenders, as previously mentioned, because they were forced to commit unlawful activities. And on this note, we also wanted to focus during the training to the previously mentioned as well, non-punishment principle applications. Why? Because it needs to be done to protect the victims from being prosecuted for the crimes that they were coerced into committing. So that's I think that's the important thing. And in our training, we also has this session that are led by experts. And in our last ones, we actually had FBI officers, or it was actually former FBI officer, who shared a little bit about his experience and knowledge on specialized, what is it called, investigative technique, which includes surveillance or undercover operations. And I think that was some things that were needed, like by the Indonesian law enforcement. And other than trainings, we also support the international cooperation, including regional cooperations. So we have one of the initiative called ERN, Emergency Response Network, which was established in 2024. So this network connects law enforcement in 7 different countries in the region, along with Interpol as well as, of course, UNODC. And then these networks is used for exchanging information as well as coordinating responses to the ongoing cases. One of the results from this network was actually the arrest of Alice Go, if you are aware of it. So she is a former of mayor in the Philippines who was also involved in the trafficking networks. And she was arrested actually in Indonesia by Indonesian authorities after receiving alert from the authorities in the Philippines. So that's why it's very important to have this kind of cooperations, bilaterally or regionally. And other than that, we also support legal assistance. It is very crucial as well. So we're working with our NGO partners as well as legal aid institutions to make sure that the victims receive legal assistance during the whole process. And in the last quarter, for example, we managed to, through our partners, of course, we managed to provide around like 100 victims of trafficking in the last quarters to access legal assistance. So it's specifically on the legal assistance. And other than that, we also have research published, so hopefully it can be used as a reference for the Indonesian government as well as our partners. And if needed, UNODC is ready to support reviewing and reforming the current or any kind of legal matters, including law and policies related to trafficking. And to answer to your follow-up question regarding the policy reform, was it? So what is needed, actually, I think that was a really important highlight when previous panelists mentioned about victims treated as perpetrator. That's why it is very important to have the non-punishment principle is clearly incorporated into national anti-trafficking laws. So it's not necessarily just knowing that, but also incorporating it into the national laws as well as enforcing it. So when we're talking about the region, right, like many countries in Southeast Asia actually have incorporated non-punishment principles, including Indonesia, which is a very positive step. However, enforcement is still inconsistent. Many victims are still prosecuted for something that they were coerced to do. So this is something that we need to also be focused on. And speaking of the principle and the legal framework, it also needs to be facilitated or accompanied or like completed by a technical guidance. And the good news is ASEAN already has the regional guidelines on the application of non-punishment principle for trafficking cases. So this is a very huge step, and hopefully these guidelines will be used as a reference again by the member states. And other than that, I think it's very important as well when we're talking about protection of the victims to have a well-established or strong victim screening mechanism or procedures. Because as it was mentioned before, when it comes to a big group, right? So we need to be able to distinguish which one are the victims, which one who are considered potential perpetrators. And it needs to be screened immediately as soon as possible. Why? Because when victims are seen as perpetrator and they were treated as offenders, we should be able to advocate based on the screening that we do. So, for example, an Indonesian is treated as offenders abroad. However, our government conducted a screening and it indicates that this person is actually a victim of trafficking, then we should advocate for that. And vice versa, like when we see or a group of people and then we conduct a screening, a proper screening, and then we sort of indicates that one of them or two of them are potential to be a perpetrator, then we should also respond accordingly. We should probably separate them from the main group of victims. Because why? Because this person could also prevent or intimidate the other victim to share further information that is crucial for the investigation or furthermore for the protection of the victim itself. So I think those are the examples that I can share for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Pak Abi, about for giving more details about what the UNODC is doing, both in Indonesia and broadly. So thank you again. Turning now to the local NGOs. And so Ibu Sara is the leader of the National Network for Anti-Human Trafficking, which has a collection of organization activists. What's it, maybe 30-ish or so? Please correct me.
40 now.
40, there we go.
40 plus now.
40 plus now, that's fantastic. And we understand that the network plays a critical role in reaching the at-risk population and raising awareness and also dealing with survivors. And so I'd be interested to know how are you seeing in your role as the chairman the trends of exploitation, whether it be trafficking related to cyber scams, online fraud, or sex trafficking? And also, could you speak a little bit about what Jarnas Anti-TPPO is doing to support victims of trafficking specifically, whether that's through policy advocacy or maybe direct services support? Please.
Absolutely, and that's a lot of questions, by the way, Frederick. I hope I can cover it in the time that you've given me, but thank you again so much for having me here at America, because it's not my first time actually here, so thank you, and thank you as well to His Excellency, Mr. Heyman. So first of all, let me give a little bit of an overview of Jarnas, because we have been around since 2018, when I was first in Parliament, my first term, and at that time there were probably about 20 organizations and individuals. So we are open to anyone who wants to focus on anti-human trafficking efforts, even individuals that are in the government but wants to help and contribute in any way. Now, this year, we've finally formalized, we've signed, we're basically legally an NGO here in Indonesia, and we have about 40 plus, as I said, organizations and individuals. And the reason why I initiated it and put together this national network is, if you can imagine the syndicate, because obviously we're talking about human trafficking, it is an organized crime, which means there's a syndicate behind it, which means there's a network behind it, and they can easily call each other up and say, hey, I need 10 girls tomorrow, right? If they can do that, then we, those who are fighting against them, we also need a network to be able to call each other up and say, I'm missing 10 girls. Are they there, right? And thankfully, we've also built a network spanning across other countries as well, and we're working together with other NGOs there because we do need each other. This is not a one-man fight. This is not a one organization fight. This is very much everybody hands on deck, and we all need to work together on this. So we do a lot of things. As you've mentioned, we do, we are on the grounds. So there are those of us, like my own organization, my own foundation, we are a national NGO. There are several of us, there are national NGOs, and we are located in several cities. But there are those of us that are basically small itty-bitty organizations living day to day. We want to live, but then again, we're like, halfway there to dying. Because everybody depends on funds, and obviously human trafficking is not exactly a sexy issue to get behind, because it is a long-term effort. It's not something where you put the money in today and then tomorrow, oh, there's a survivor. It doesn't work that way. And so with this, it means that, yes, we have very much a wide range of effort. There are those of us, as you said, we are raising awareness. We have events. We go to schools. We do outreach, and we ensure that students, such as the ones that are here, know what it means and the risks and consequences, because they are the most at risk. Because if we're talking about human trafficking, or for a lot of other issues, social issues, it all goes down to the matter of social economy. Because at the end of the day, those who are being trafficked abroad, most of them are not, oh, I want to be trafficked. Most of them are just looking for work. So it is a job security issue. For a lot of the cases, not all of them are being kidnapped. Quite a lot of them just need work. So this is a huge issue where obviously we have a demographic dividend. 53% of our population are millennials and Gen Zs. It means that there are a lot more people to feed, a lot more people who are looking for work. So raising awareness is definitely key. Prevention is key. It's better to prevent rather than to deal with the aftermath. But we are also there in the aftermath. Quite a lot of our organizations have safe houses. We have Romo Pascal here, who has a safe house in Batam. He's right there, hands on deck, fighting along with his volunteers, because Batam and the Riau archipelago and any other border provinces are very much at risk, and that's where the doors, they come and go. I mean, you can see Singapore out of your window when you're in Batam. And it's that easy to basically just take people across, right? Unfortunately. So we have safe houses, and it means also healing centers. So let's get this clear. Rehabilitation is for perpetrators. Healing are for the victims. So pemulihan, it's not the same as rehabilitasi. So we have healing houses. We have safe houses for them. We do trauma healing. We ensure that, and let's be clear, if we're talking about human trafficking, we're not just talking about the scamming. We're not just talking about cross-border to international, but within Indonesia it is happening as well. It means that there are our brothers and sisters who are being trafficked to Papua. They are working in brothels, serving minors there. And what we mean by human trafficking is because they're being exploited economically, exploited mentally. They cannot escape unless they pay a certain fee for them to be able to go out of their workplace. And of course, Batam is also very well known for the, unfortunately, sex trafficking. Bali is also well known even for the pedophile communities, and for the under 18, even under 13 victims. And 30% of prostitutes, sex workers, are under 18 years old, okay? 30%, that's a lot. And the numbers when it comes to child abuse materials in Indonesia, Indonesia is number 3 in Asia at the moment, and that means more than 1 million children are being abused, and their photos and videos are being uploaded onto social media. Okay, more than 1 million per year. That's a lot of trauma we need to deal with. And that means that last few seconds is at the moment, for the past couple of weeks, we have done advocacy. We've met with Kabar Eskrim, the crime unit, also with the Attorney General's office. We've also met with, just before coming here, with the Social Affairs Ministry, the Health Ministry, and also the P2MI, the migrant workers body. And so ensuring, because one of the things we want to do is to revise the law, the trafficking bill that was passed in 2007, so it's very old. We are seeing a lot of evolution in the modus operandi, and it's not black and white. A lot of it, as you said, we need to do a lot of screening and assessment. Who's the perpetrator, who's the victim? I thought I would do my in less than 7 minutes, but nope, could not. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ibu Sada. You hit on a lot of very important things. Just from the defining what trafficking is, it can also happen within Indonesia. It doesn't need to cross borders. And also the piece about the online sexual exploitation of children. That's something that I know that my colleagues at the embassy and the U.S. government is looking at closely as well. So, and we've actually, separately, we've actually been to Batam and Father Pascal and sat with him. And so we've been able to see some of the reality which you described, you and others have described. So thank you for those interventions. Moving on to Pak Tri. And so, as mentioned before, International Justice Mission Indonesia really represents a civil society organization that works very closely with law enforcement and the legal system, helping to identify victims. And so I know that IJMI works closely with victims, helping them navigate the legal system. And in fact, that was one of the reasons we were in Batam that previous time, thanks to IJMI. So I'd be interested to know if you can speak to what the organization is doing to actually fortify the criminal justice system here and help victims who are stuck in cyber scams. And also, Ibu Sada mentioned about the healing and the trauma, and I know that IJMI takes a victim-centered approach in dealing with victims. And so if you can speak to some of the rehabilitation best practices that you all employ in your work. Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, Fred, for having me representing Yayasan Integritas Justitia Madani Indonesia. So we are the partner of International Justice Missions. This is a new organization actually established in March 2023. And responding to your questions, strengthening justice system is one of our mandate, and we are working closely with the justice system in Indonesia, including the Indonesian National Police, the General Prosecutor Office, both at national and also subnational level. One of our interventions is capacity development, but at the same time, we are also working on the casework, like handling the cases of forced labor, labor trafficking, and also modern slavery. And that casework is actually the entry point for us to build the capacity of like Indonesian National Police and also the general prosecutors. We're also working closely with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in particular, strengthening the victim identifications process. We heard about victim identifications many times from Ibu Rina, from Pak Abi, because this is a very important process where we can identify whether the person is the victims or a perpetrators. And as mentioned by Ibu Rina, in many cases, this is a very complicated process, not an easy process, because someone who trapped into forced scamming industry and when they already in the compound and they try to escape, there are few options. Like if they don't like the working conditions, then when they want to escape, they have to find a replacement or they have to pay certain fee to be able to go out from that scamming compound. And again, it's not very straightforward process. So victim ID capacity development is very important, and it's mostly done by the government, either Indonesian embassy in Thailand and also in several places. And as mentioned by Pa Abi as well, the treatment is very different when you are a victims or when they are identified as a perpetrator or recruiters. So that is one of our interventions. Other interventions that we are doing in order to strengthen the justice system in Indonesia is casework and then capacity development. We also putting survivors into a very center of this process, and also to influence the government, because they have been facing so many difficult situations during the whole process. And I think they also have a very strong voice in order to improve the law and also policies in the country. So listening to them is very important. We have what we call survivor leadership program, and also community engagement interventions. These two interventions is very important. First, I think the ambassador mentioned about the importance of awareness raising among young people, because currently, like so many advertisements recruiting young people to go abroad, and I think the young people is very interested to go abroad with the tagline, kabur aja dulu, for instance. And we have to be aware, if the offer is too good to be true, then you have to think twice or maybe 3 times just to check whether this ad is really true or it's part of the scamming industry. So this is very important, and of course, using this approach and putting the survivor into the center, we want them to be part of the advocacy effort to change and also to improve the policies and also regulations in our country, including the law, how to protect them better, because we cannot stop, Indonesians to go to find better job and also better life, like Ibu Sarah mentioned before. So yeah, that's our interventions. One thing that is very important, Fred, in addition to awareness raisings, we at IGM believe that holding perpetrators accountable and ensuring they receive proportionate punishment will create a strong, deterrent effect, helping to prevent future cases of illegal recruitment. So this is something that we want to focus on. I believe we are also a member of JARNAS, by the way. And I think many organizations focus on aftercare services like psychosocial support when they just arrive from other countries. I remember when almost 600 people came back from Myanmar, Ibu Rina. We were also in the Asrama Haji to do the assessment whether they need psychosocial support, and also to see what are the needs before we send them back to their community. Because after facing so many difficult situations in the scamming compound, it's not easy actually just to fly them back to their hometown, but rather to understand whether they, experience, torture. If they don't meet the target, usually a lot of punishment that they face, including, like electric shock, and then sometimes sexual exploitation by their manager as well. So understanding their situation before we help them to go back to the community is very important. And yeah, I think strengthening justice system through capacity development for law enforcement, including the police, general prosecutors, through trauma-informed care training, and also, as mentioned by Ibu Rina and Pak Abi, non-punishment principle is very important as well. And through the capacity development for the law enforcement, we hope that the justice system in Indonesia will be better, and also the protection for the vulnerable group will be provided to them. Thank you, Fred.
Great. Thank you, Patri, and thank you all to the panelists. And now we are ready for questions from the audience, both here in person and online. So if people, I see some hands in the back over there to my left.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I think it's evening, right? Afternoon. Oh, okay. Still afternoon. Okay. So my name is Seisha. I'm a student, and I'm just here because I'm interested in this issue particularly. So my question is, I have got a simple question about prevention, and it's a general question, so I don't mind who's going to answer this. So my question is, we know that a lot of digital human trafficking is done by the scammers who would offer job opportunities with tempting wages and simple requirements. With that, I believe that the issue of human trafficking is, especially by digital platforms, is very much affected by the lack of local job opportunities and high requirements for employment with low wages and high life costs. Along with, as mentioned by Patri, the kabur aja dulu tag. So while I'm sure that you in front of me are trying your best to prevent and raise awareness of human trafficking issues and support the victims, I do think that would it be possible if the Ministry of Manpower to also participate in the attempt of preventing and pressing down the number of human trafficking cases? Because I do believe that they should also be responsible to raise awareness about this particular issue. And what do you think about this matter, about how we are lacking of local job opportunities, and that has got a big impact on the number of cases of human trafficking in Indonesia? I think that's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the question. I don't know which one of the panelists would like to take a...
Which hat do you want me to wear? No, but I mean, you can probably answer a little bit about the question on the Kementerian Ketenagakerjaan, the Labor Ministry. Jarnas has also actually done quite a lot of work with the Kementerian Ketenagakerjaan. And when it comes to that, obviously, they're not here, so they can't answer, and we can't answer for them. But in terms of Ketenagakerjaan, we have to understand that they work within the law of where they are towards those that are workers, right? So from my perspective, this is an issue of potential workers, those who need work, not necessarily already workers. So when we're talking about potential workers, this goes all the way to education system. It goes all the way to the issue of, again, job availability, which is not under the purview of Kemenekar. So that's under other purviews. And I think, obviously, with the investments being pulled in by Danantara, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky on how do I answer this as chair of Jarnas. So I have to full disclosure. I hope it's okay, Fred, if I answer a little bit differently. Obviously, I'm also anggota DPR. I'm also a congresswoman, and I'm from Fraksi Gerindra, and so I speak not on behalf of the government, but as a wakil rakyat. And one of the things in the 7th Commission, which deals with UMKMs, small medium enterprises, economy kreatif, is that we understand that padat karya sector, as in the ones that are dealing with the 10,000 jobs, 1,000 jobs, 5,000 jobs sectors, you know, the manufacturers, the industry, that's part of the negotiations with America, for example. It was ensuring that there's still going to be jobs available and investment coming in from America, right? To ensure that there are jobs available locally. Now, our understanding, at least my understanding, is that that's not going to be enough. Not for the 280 million people, not for the 180 million people plus that need jobs. Because we have 72% out of our 280 million need jobs. So I spoke at the World Economic Forum, and I said, at Summer Davos in Tianjin, China, I said, we are welcome for any investment and for any technology to come into Indonesia, but we need jobs more than we need the tech, to be honest, because tech can take over jobs. So we have more people than we have jobs. So when it comes to that, honestly, I will say, and I think we all need to talk about this, in order to prevent correctly, it also means what? Encouraging the youth to be part of the entrepreneurship movement. Because if you keep on waiting for others to provide jobs for you, we're never going to fix this issue. If you have any skills at all, and you have access to friends that you can work together with to create jobs, you are part of the solution to this problem. Whether you're opening an editing suite, you know, or you want to be a content creator, you're creating jobs because it means you're hiring an editor, you're hiring a videographer, etc. That's entrepreneurship. If you're in the agriculture system, etc., I know I'm going to take too much time if I start talking into this, but yes, because she was asking about the labor issue and jobs. We all need to do our part. That's the only way. We all need to do our part. Other countries are not as lucky as us with the demographic dividend. So don't look for the ones where, again, it's too good to be true. A lot of the ones that give you proper jobs with high minimum wage usually means you need to work for it, aka learn their language and make sure that you fulfill the requirement for the jobs available. Whether it's to be an engineer or to be a caregiver, whatever it is, you need to ensure that you meet the certain requirements.
Thank you so much, Ibu Sarah. I think that's a very sharp answer to the sharp and smart question from the young generation. It's a risk of, you know, having young generation coming to this kind of event, Pak Frederick, because in their mind they will face a future where they need to work, they need to, you know, be productive. And in MOFA, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs point of view, we are not in a place where we can prohibit people to go abroad and work, because there are opportunities abroad. There are, you know, job opportunities. And what we are asking is actually simple. Just be prepared, upgrade your skills. And we are very happy to have more Indonesians working in a very, you know, potential and professional field abroad, in the United States perhaps, yeah? So it's a good thing for people-to-people contact as well. We can learn from the US, for example, from China as well, where a lot of their diaspora working abroad, and they actually contribute back to the country. So once you can upgrade your skills, it's good. If you can create job locally, that's even better. Thank you. By the way, Sasha is my daughter.
Excellent question, of course.
Full disclosure.
Thank you. I think I saw a hand over here in the front
Quite a
row,
lot of hands.
the young man next to the camera.
You're going to have to choose, Fred.
I did. I chose the gentleman next to the camera. Right
Next
there.
to the camera with the glasses.
Thank you for this great opportunity for me to ask. And my name is Okta Wididana. I come from Binus University, International Relations Department. And I would like to just go forward with my question. Since we are at America right now, I would like to ask, have there been any cases of US citizens becoming victims of human trafficking in Indonesia recently? If so, how exactly does the US government collaborate with the Indonesian government to repatriate those citizens? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, but I think Iborina to my... Oh, no, that's me. I'm sorry, what am I talking about? Let's see. So the short answer is that I'm not aware of any cases where that's happened here in Indonesia. That's not to say it hasn't, but I'm just not personally aware. But I think we can talk broadly about the cooperation that we do with the Indonesian government, particularly with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And so over the past 3 years that I've been here in Indonesia working on this issue, we've had a lot of excellent cooperation with colleagues in the ministry. And so we've worked together, we've shared information, and which is why, again, I'm so excited to be here to see a lot of the work that we've done over the last 3 years coming together, and an excellent array of panelists, and also all of the audience members here thinking about and talking about all of the positive things that have come out of the partnerships, I think, that we've had with the Indonesian government and also the NGOs as well. And so I mentioned that our team went up to Batam with the help of one of our organizations here, and we met with victims who had been rescued. And so that helped to give us from the United States a better insight into what was happening. That way we can inform our colleagues in Washington, and that way we can help provide more resources back to Indonesia to help with some of the programming that you've heard here today. So it's been an incredible, fruitful partnership and relationship over the past time that I've been here, and it's only grown, and we're hopeful that it will continue. So, but thank you for your question. If I may move to online, we have a few questions here. And so I'm going to read them out, and so the panelists, just one of them right now. And so we've been talking a lot about young people, and we've heard some mention of advocacy and what people might be able to do. And so Shafa asked a question very directly. What can students or young professionals in Indonesia do to contribute to advocacy, awareness, and research on migrant workers' rights and protections? So getting right to the heart of the matter here is what we're all talking about and thinking about. So I invite any of the panelists, and I see Sarah's very excited.
I'm very excited about that. Yes, that's exactly what we love doing. So please feel free to get in touch with us. Or on Instagram or any of our platforms. Again, as I said, we have 40 plus organizations and individuals. If you are an individual who wants to be part of this, either join one of the organizations or you can join Jarnas, you can volunteer with us, and you can invite us to your campus. You can invite us so we can give a kuliah umum. We can do a awareness raising event with you, or you can do a research if you are a research student and international law or international relations or law student. Who's so many that we can actually, go into. Even SMEs, we can bring up about how SMEs can help, etc. With the anti-human trafficking effort. There are so many ways. Awareness raising really comes down to whether or not you have the initiative and the will to make some noise wherever you are, and that can be as simple as reaching out to us and inviting us to where you are, and then you can create a movement on your campus to raise awareness on this issue.
Yeah. Maybe just to add on that, Fred, just to give you an example, young people, Yayasan IJMI currently is working together with Universitas Parahyangan Bandung. So we are having an MOU with Faculty of Law to provide legal assistance at RPTC. RPTC is the Rumah Perlindungan dan Trauma Center. So this RPTC is under Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And as you know, when Indonesians are coming back to Indonesia from different countries, they are mostly victim of forced labor, labor trafficking. Then they will be staying at that place for maximum 3 days. And during that 3 days, usually they don't know what to do, whether they need to report the case to law enforcement or any other idea. So we are establishing a legal desk at RPTC. So then the survivor or victims of trafficking will have access to legal assistance. In addition to what I mentioned before, that assessment is also ongoing during that period of time. So we can identify what kind of services needed, like psychosocial support, or health services, etc., etc. So young people can play a very important role in that process. If you are coming from law faculty, or awareness raising can be done in the university, in your campus. You can develop a very simple maybe Instagram Reels or any preventions activities that can be done online.
Thank you for the response, and thank you. And sorry.
Just a little bit as a self-claimed young generation as well. Hello, self-claim. Yeah, just to add, like this two amazing answers already. Just simply help by retweeting or reposting all of the contents that already in. Yeah, it's already out there. Like if you follow our social medias, for example, there's already contents over there, and you can simply learn it by yourself. Like have a look, learn how to, for example, spot, how to spot fake job advertisement, for example. There's already a lot of information out there, and then once you understand that, you can help others by what? By sharing this information forwards, sharing to your friends, to your families, as simple as retweet it, as simple as repost it, or just like forward it through Instagram. So I think that would be a very useful step. Thank you.
I think if I may add, because all three of you already contribute, so just start small. Start from your own family and start from your own community. So if you can start from that, immediate relative of yours, you may save one life. And the impact of that can be multiplied because your immediate family will also become, an ambassador for their, community as well. So just start small, but do it wholeheartedly. Do it with, niat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to all the wonderful answers here. Thank you. I think we have time for maybe 2 more questions. And so we're going to go to, and I saw the first hand here, the young lady in the black and white. So.
Sorry. May I? Okay. First of all, thank you very much for allowing me to ask the question I want to ask, because this is mostly my own curiosity. From what I heard, it was stated that the victims after rehabilitation are returned to their own communities, right? How about victims who don't have a community? Maybe they don't have family anymore, no friends anymore, because as stated before, people who are like trafficked, who join the scamming situation, are people who need jobs, who need money, and perhaps because of that, they don't have anyone to come back to. What happened to those people? Are there like a community for them, or are they just allowed to go wherever they want? That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to?
Sorry. I get very psyched. So with the organizations, and because we have the safe houses, we have the healing centers, and this is something that we actually brought up as well with the social affairs minister just earlier, because when it comes to the RPTC, the trauma healing center, and any of the rehabilitation and healing centers in Indonesia, it is important to think about. So in my organization, we call it reintegration. Okay, so especially when it comes to under 18, we always assess the community where they came from. If there's any risk of them, because usually, quite a lot of times, the perpetrator is someone close. The perpetrator is somewhere in the community. And if there's any risk that they can be trafficked, or it is not safe for them, then obviously we will not allow them to go back to that community. Number 2, obviously, reintegration means also ensuring that they are trained, that they are educated. So I spoke to Pa Menteri and I said, well, there needs to be a collaboration with the education ministry to ensure that they have, if they're illiterate, then there needs to be the paket ABC. They need to be able to be reintegrated sometimes, especially if they're under 18. We do have best practice healing center. One is run by Yayasan Kasih Yang Utama. They rescue young girls under 18 from the sex trafficking industry. And a lot of them actually, if they've already gone through the healing process, they can actually be reintegrated and be sent back to school while living in a healing center or in a safe house. That can happen. In other cases, and this happens in other countries as well, like in Philippines, they do the same thing. So we look at it long term. Now, obviously, and I said this as well to the ministry, the national budget is limited, right? And there's only so much time that can be given for anyone to stay in the safe houses owned by the government. So that's where we come in, and why the fundraising is so important, because money does not grow on trees. So it is very expensive to actually look after, give the counseling, the social worker, the psychological and the education, everyday needs of these survivors, right? For them to go from victim to survivor, there is a whole process. So the reintegration, really think about education, training, to the point where they can be employed or they can have their own business again. And there are plenty of organizations that work alongside us to provide training and job opportunities for the survivors.
Yeah, just quickly to add on that, Ibu Sarah. I think at IJM we are also providing training opportunities to the survivors. But again, this is not a very straightforward training provisions or vocational training provisions. At IJM, we have to make sure that the training provider are trauma informed, because if not, then the survivor can, the trauma can be back if the trainer is not fully trauma informed. So we are very selective in terms of sending or giving the opportunity to survivor to get some vocational training and also other soft skills training. And ideally, the training provider should have a placement process as well, just to make sure that the new job locations or the company that is employing them also trauma informed. Again, to avoid any trauma to come back if the environment is not fully trauma informed. So we have identified couples training providers that is trauma informed already, and we are supporting a few number of survivors to be trained by these organizations. And currently we have regular survivors meeting online, because the victims of forced scamming are scattered in different places in Indonesia, and the online meeting is the only possible way for us to organize and also to help them figuring out what are opportunities out there. And many of them actually express their interest to be a like content creator, how to design using Canva software. So then this is another way for them to survive and also to earn income.
Just to add a little bit again, just to add a little bit from the already great answers again. Just to remind, and we can circle back to the previous conversation we had about re-victimizations. I think this is a very important as well, like a proper reintegration support, both from the government and partners, specifically targeting the economic and social aspects of the reintegration itself is very crucial. I know, as Ibu Sarah mentioned, that it's very expensive. It requires a lot of resources, but it is very crucial. Because why? Because when we start targeting the root cause that makes people vulnerable in the first place, right? So we're not only going to protect this individual, but also we're building something that is a little bit long-term resilience against the trafficking network itself. So it's a very important thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually going to move back online quickly for the next question. And perhaps this is, we're coming to that side next, so you guys get ready on this side. Get your arms ready, so we're coming back after that. So perhaps for Ibu Rina, the question is, what are the main challenges in repatriating victims, especially from countries where scam operations are heavily criminalized? So if you'd like to weigh in on that one, perhaps. Thank you.
Well, in most countries, online scam is, of course, illegal. It's criminalized, it's illegal. But in countries such as Cambodia, they understand, the government understands that so many people being recruited in that scam centers without their knowing that this is a scam center and without proper knowledge about what they're going to do there. So we've been trying to keep on negotiating with them on how to build an international instrument to bilaterally address these issues, not only for the prevention matter, but also for the law enforcement matter. So that's why we do have several memorandum of understandings with some of the countries with heavy cases like this. With Cambodia, with Thailand, we do have some agreement with them that police-to-police agreement that consists of strengthening collaboration in terms of capacity buildings for law enforcer, also the joint investigations efforts, sharing informations. So we work mostly within this, framework, and we always try to, educate people about the law that that country has. Like, be careful if you're going to Cambodia. It's really dangerous for you, especially when you work in this and that sectors, so, things like that. For your information, we have almost, I think, 100,000 Indonesians residing and working in Cambodia in digital sectors, not only in online scam compounds, but because Cambodia is a country where this type of sectors is very highly, what do you call it, active in recruiting people and stuff like that. So, so many Indonesian people go there, regardless the danger that they're facing there. So, yes, Indonesia will always work on strengthening bilaterally, regionally through ASEAN, and also multilaterally through organizations such as UNODC. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I think we are back to this side, and I saw maybe the first 10 of the, and right behind the camera, the gentleman with the glasses. Yes.
Gentlemen. Thank you very much. So does that make me the last asker for today?
I think we have maybe time for yours and then one more after that.
All right, then I'll keep my question relatively brief. So thank you very much for the amazing experience. My name is Edward from Binus University. Now, we have already seen, thank you. We have already seen what Indonesia has done regarding this issue, and domestically, bilaterally, within the region. We would like to ask, especially with the United States as our host at America today, could there be any good practices or examples which we can learn from the United States to help develop our anti-human trafficking and human rights system empowerment as a whole? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the question. I know, right? No, that's an excellent question. And so, as I mentioned before, the United States and Indonesia has been working together on this issue closely for a number of years. And let's see, how do I answer this? This is a very tough question, actually. This is a very tough question, except to say that I think that, here's the perfect answer to your question. So I think capacity building and training is one of the ways in which we have the ability to work with each other, and perhaps Indonesia can learn from what we're doing in the United States. And so we've had a number of programs that combat trafficking throughout the years, and some of our panelist organizations have been involved in these efforts. And so things like, for example, American judges coming to Indonesia and sharing their experience about the judicial system and legal reasoning and legal decisions. Trained FBI agents from the United States coming to Indonesia and working with the investigators, having prosecutors from the United States and also working with the prosecutors. So I think those are the ways in which I think the United States can help Indonesia grow in its efforts to combat trafficking in persons. And we see those efforts ongoing now, and we're hopeful that they can continue in the future as the relationship deepens and we strengthen our commitment to combating trafficking in persons both in Indonesia and the United States. Thank you.
if I may help you,
Sure,
Frederick.
Yeah, we'll help you, Fred. We'll help you.
So, Indonesian government also works with U.S. government to what do you call it? To review our mechanism through the TIP report. So every year, United States always launch a TIP report, TIP report. You can Google it. So it's an initiative many years ago that U.S. has to sort of monitor and give feedbacks on each countries in the world, basically about their effort in anti-trafficking program and such. Even though it's a unilateral kind of, what do you call it, unilateral kind of a program, but we do think that this is a check and balance sort of approach that we need to understand. And we sometimes really learn a lot from that TIP report, and we can understand as well how other countries, approach anti-trafficking issues, so that we can understand their, mechanism and things like that. So that also best practice that we can learn from the U.S.
I'll add, there are two things. One is the cyber ability to track the cyber crime. Number two is following the money trail. They're also very good with that, because obviously this is, as a criminal, a syndicate, human is a commodity for the human trafficking syndicate, and that means money. So two of those things that I think we can learn from the U.S.
Just to add on the TIP report, because this is a very transparent process, I like the process. And the input is not only from the government of Indonesia, but also from the civil society like Yayasan, IJMI as well. So again, this is a very transparent, and different point of view are incorporated in that TIP report.
So if we get like tier 2 watch list, is that because IJMI?
Exactly.
We know.
Well, even though,
Thank you for the. Here we are. Okay, so we have time for one more question. And so apologies to all of those we could not get answers to. So I think we are, okay, I have a young lady over here in white, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Frederick, for the opportunity to asking the question. So, hello everyone, my name is Hope Epifania, and actually this question is to Frederick about the U.S. Okay, so my question, with the recent news about the trade agreement between Indonesia and the U.S. requiring the reciprocal trade involving the transfers of Indonesian citizen personal data to U.S. company, I want to ask about what guarantees are in the place to ensure the security and privacy of this data, since it's if the data is leaked, it's related to the human traffic digital crime like that. That's all.
Okay, thank you for the question. And I'm going to have to be honest here. I'm not super familiar about the data transfer, and so the things that I've read is that I don't even want to, I'm hesitant to speak because I'm not actually sure about it. So I think that's what I'll have to say here. So my apologies, I'm not familiar with it, and I'm not sure that it actually touches on the issue of human trafficking. So I'm going to, but thank you. So, and maybe if we can, I think we have time for one more. You want to ask a question?
Thank you for the opportunities. Hello, everyone. Hello, panelists. My name is Kayla. I am 14 years old. Yes, I'm 14 years old. Thank you. So actually, this is, I'm asking for everyone here, and I only wanted to hear about the personal perspective. So my question is, Why do you think the issue of young people being trafficked into committing crime is often ignored or overlooked by society and even the media? And what are the possible consequences if this global blind spots continues to be neglected? So I'm asking about your own perspective, personal perspective. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. That was an excellent
I don't
question.
believe she's 14.
I would have to agree with you. That was an excellent question. So I would ask if all of the panelists can respond and maybe also give kind of a closing, as this will conclude our panel. So maybe we start. Oh, who wants to start?
Okay, thank you for the question, Adik Kaila, 14 years old, impressive. I think I wanted to answer in general as well. So trafficking in person cases are very underreported cases. Why? Because there are so many, first, of course, the awareness itself, and second, there is a stigma, social stigma as well, that applies in our society where sometimes, young people, I would like to give you an example, right? One person received a job offer that didn't know that it was a scam job or like a fake job. And then this person went to a certain country and worked there, but unfortunately, he fell to an exploitative situation. He was becoming a victim of trafficking. And there's a possibility that this person feel ashamed, for example. Why? Because it's not the fault of this person, but also the society, maybe the family, friends, community in general, created this kind of environment that you don't feel safe to report yourself. It came from various factors, including when the victims, I think it was mentioned previously, that was handled inappropriately, that caused more harm, that they lose trust to report their cases and so on and so forth. So especially with the younger generation right now, who are very aware about what is safe space, what is mental health, what is approaches that are very safe for them to actually talk to someone. So these kind of things that I think is also an input for all of us to update our approach to make sure that the younger generations are heard on how are we going to approach the situation, especially with trafficking. That's it. Sorry.
My personal reflections to respond to these questions. If I know someone being trafficked, or maybe if my family member is being trafficked, do I have a confidence? Do I dare to report to the justice system in Indonesia or not? Because I may be thinking that, oh, my safety is also at risk if I report this case to the police, for instance. So it's not a straightforward answer, but yeah, as mentioned by Pak Abdi, it's underreported because not everybody is ready to report this kind of cases like trafficking because of shame. And also, in many cases, Ibu Sarah mentioned that the recruiter is our family member or maybe the extended family member or our neighbor. Do we dare to report them to the police?
Please correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the question, aside from what they said, is more, why is it being ignored? Is that correct? So it's not so much about the underreporting. I think it's a matter of, if we know that it's happening around us, then why are we not saying anything about it? Why is it not getting the highlights and the spotlight that it needs to get? And honestly speaking, I think a lot of it is, one, to do with ignorance. Because even though they know that, oh, that's happening, but they don't know it's actually human trafficking. For example, the case that it just went where I think about 10 or 11 women were just caught in a baby selling, right, to Singapore. That's human trafficking. A baby is being sold for money before being born. Then you dig further into it, and then you find out, oh, the women are having a baby outside of marriage, and that's why, and they come from very, very poor communities, and they need the money, etc. And Indonesian, the pengasuhan, the adoption process in Indonesia is crazy difficult, which is something also that we are working on, and plenty of us have spoken up on. So when it comes further and further down and you start looking at the layers of the issue, because it is a very complex issue. And when it comes to, when you start going through all the layers of what the problems are, a lot of people end up being paralyzed because they start going, what the heck can I do? Right? What can I do? I'm nobody. I don't have any resources. Well, there's nothing we can do because it's just too complicated. So they end up being paralyzed. So I don't, one is definitely not the ignorance. Number two is the paralyzed, moment where you feel that the problem is much too big for you to handle. And so if everybody feels stuck, if everybody suddenly feels there's nothing I can do, well, you can imagine it's not that it is being ignored, it's more that nobody will speak up because they don't feel like their voice matters. And then if you ask, like, what will happen if it keeps being ignored? Well, more and more people, millions of our brothers and sisters, of our, those who are much, much younger, because we're talking about baby selling, we're talking about children under the age of 4. You know what happened with the Ngada police, with the pedophile. I mean, babies are being sold into sex trafficking. Okay, the first experience I had when I first started researching about human trafficking here in Indonesia this was back in 2010. The police basically said, can you help me? Can you help me find a safe house? I didn't know anybody at the time. This was 2010. I just recently graduated and I wanted to know what's going on in Indonesia because they had just rescued a 12-year-old girl from Kalimantan. This was the police in Surabaya, from Kalimantan, who had been trafficked since she was 8 by her own foster parents. Okay? So if you ask what will happen, not so much to us, knock on wood, but it's going to keep on affecting our brothers and sisters, some as young as 4, some as young as 2. You saw the Facebook group, Sedara. Okay? That's the tip of the iceberg. The more we stay quiet, the more we get paralyzed, more and more and more will fall victim to human trafficking and sexual exploitation. Thank you.
Okay. I think Ibu Sarah already explained greatly. Yeah. So, Kyla, even though you're 14, you're not too young to be hero. You're not too young to speak up. Just speak up. Be the ambassador of anti-human trafficking, at least to your small, community, to your friends, your family. And just remember, when these things happen to your family, you know where to reach out for help. Yeah, thank you.
Thank Thanks to all of the panelists for your impactful words and your advice. And also thanks to the audience, to everyone here. Give a round of applause. And also everyone online who joined virtually. So, just want to say thank you all again. And so, I think we're turning it over to.
Okay, thank you so much, Frederick Hawkins. And on behalf of Ad America, we would like to thank our moderator and speakers for today's insightful discussion. Once again, can we give a big round of applause to our moderator and speakers for today? And also, once again, thank you so much, everyone, for coming to Ad America, and thank you for your active participation, especially from ISEC Trisakti and also Universitas Bina Nusantara. Thank you so much, everyone. If you want to know more about our events, you can follow our social media. We have on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, AT America. With that, thank you so much for tuning in with us. My name is Patricia Elizabeth, and see you at the next At America event. Bye, everyone.